Hello, and welcome to another episode of Mr. L's Bell, where Mr. L's tutoring and enrichment tackles some cultural, educational, and mental health topics. So today we are going to be leaning mostly into the adult mental health that I use with the clients, and the therapy that I use the most and I think is the most helpful and applicable for everyone is ACT. And ACT stands for Acceptance Commitment Therapy. And it has 6 core tenets, but I'm going to break these videos into 3 different portions. And I'll start off with the first 2 that are standing for acceptance and diffusion. So acceptance is really just as it states, really, it's just accepting the place that you are in and being honest about what it is you are at, where it is you're at, mentally, in your relationships, in your work, in your education, in how you feel, in what you do every day compared to your values and what you believe in. So acceptance is just stating the actual physical facts of your situation and your circumstances. And one way that I wanted to talk about acceptance is the fact that we don't want to really label anything good or bad. We just want to label it as it is. And one proverb that really stands out to me that is very helpful in getting the idea across is really a proverb that they titled like, "We'll see." So it starts off with a farmer who has a farm, and one day, and his neighbors, of course, sees him, but one day his horse runs away. And when the horse runs away, the neighbor's like, "Oh my God, you have such bad luck. I'm so sorry. That stinks." And the farmer just says, "Well, we'll see." And so the next day, the horse comes back and it brings 2 wild horses with it. And then the neighbor's like, "Oh my God, you have such great luck. This is great. That's awesome. This is terrific." And the farmer just says, "Well, we'll see." The next day, the farmer's son tries to ride the wild horses, and it bucks, and then the son is thrown off the horse and he breaks his arm. And so now the neighbor is looking at him like, "Oh my God, man, you have such bad luck. I'm so sorry." And of course, the farmer says, "Well, we'll see." And the next day, it looks like there was a draft or a conscript where everybody needed to go take the firstborn son, and the officials come into the village and really want to conscript those young men, and they have to pass by his son, the farmer's son, because he has a broken arm. So then the neighbor goes, "Hey, my God, that's such great news. I mean, you must be so happy." And again, the farmer says, "We'll see." And that whole proverb really points out that things that happen are either good or bad based on the circumstance, and it's really just things are happening. We can choose how we look at it. So it's the same thing when we talk about when the cup is half full or half empty. It's just how you look at it. The cup has 50% water in it. It's just which way are you going to look at it? And that's what acceptance really helps. And the way you look at it is really blending right into the diffusion, where diffusion is really talking about separating yourself from your thoughts. So understanding that thoughts you have are not a representation of you, they're just thoughts. They're just things that pop up in your head. They don't mean that this is you. They do not stand in for your identity. They do not stand in for your decisions, and they don't stand in for your choices. They are just things that you think. And you really have to start to see, and I love this when I first started hearing about ACT, they did a very, very nice, poignant image of just pretend you're in your brain, you're meditating, and you have a river, a flowing river that just stands for your consciousness. And all of the thoughts are leaves that you put into the river. It goes through your mind, it goes in, and it comes out. There is no having to hold on to it, and I need you to be able to separate yourself from those thoughts, because those thoughts do have effects that make you feel a certain way, or depending on how you view those thoughts, or depending on what those thoughts do for you, that's really it. And that's where I start to think more about affirmations. Affirmations are verbal phrases or things you say because they make you feel better. They reinforce your belief in yourself. And so affirmations are really, really great verbal tools, but those are just thoughts as well. And so how we use and how we choose to frame these things are really what's going to help us feel better and look through our lens or our self as context. That'll be another pillar. It'll make it really a lot more clear cut. You can stop label things good or bad and just label them as happened or have not happened. So that's one great way for you guys to start thinking about diffusion and acceptance. And those are the first two pillars for our first video about ACT therapy. I hope you guys stick by for next couple. And today is just March 28th, 2026. I want to make sure I date these. So thanks for listening to part 1, and stick around for part 2 and part 3, talking about the core tenets of ACT therapy.